Everyone, it's Desiree, and today I'm going to show you how you can get texture from either using a stencil on your background and also through your inks. So I grabbed some Simon Says the Positively saturated inks, and I am working on a piece of watercolor cardstock. That's Canson XL watercolor cardstock here. And I'm just putting down this ink, just having fun, making sure that the center that I'm creating there is larger because I'm going to die cut this piece out. You can see not a perfect print. Now I'm just adding water. And I love the way these react on watercolor cardstock with water. Huge, awesome effect. Yes, you saw me putting a pin into the center of that so that it'll stay flat and it won't completely curl. Yes, it does put a hole in the center, but it does seem to keep it at least relatively flat. I'm using the other two colors because these inks come in threes, and I'm using the other two colors to create another panel like that. So I went with the mid-tone in the center and then the lightest tone around the outside to add that color. And then doing the same thing, adding water, and then going to put this onto one of my scratch pads that I use when I blend, and then putting a pin in it so that it will stay flat. But look at those, look at that texture it's creating. I don't know if it's because of all the water that I put on. It's just cool looking. It looks like it's cracking. And I just, can you tell how excited I am about it? My goodness. I just love that effect. So I set those aside to dry. So now I'm going to bring in, I usually don't bring in my system here, but I want to show you this. So I'm putting the stencil down onto my platform. I'm putting my cardstock on top of that, the rubber mat, and then the embossing plate that came with my machine. And I'm running it back and forth a couple times. This is an awesome way. Look at that texture. It is absolutely awesome. But if you have stencils, great backgrounds, great backgrounds. You can see I have a darker and I have a lighter. So I want to put the lighter out. So I die cut just the circle by itself through the darker, and then I use the detail with the circle for the lighter panel that I created. We get this beautiful two-tone effect when it comes to that panel that we are using. Now, this die is called the Ella's Garden Rose Circle Frame die. And then the stencil I use, sorry I didn't tell you when I used it, is called Big Drops, and it's a 6x6 stencil. I'm using a acrylic block so that, just to add pressure so that this will dry flat. And then I'm going to use some foam squares, excuse me, to prop this up onto that panel. So by using inks and the stencil, we've created some wonderful texture in very little time. So using your stencils is another, by doing this, with our stencils, it's another way to use them, to stretch the use of our supplies. Now, what's great with this die, I didn't choose to do that in this video, but I chose to create these layers. But think about if you put a piece of acetate over that top piece and then, you know, put some double-sided foam and fill that in with some beautiful shaker bits. That would make a great shaker element for your card. So again, multiple uses when it comes to the products at which we have. I grabbed a sentiment from the All Occasions sentiment sheets that they have. Great deal for those, and love, there's just so much, there's so many choices within this collection. I chose Smile Sweetheart. I think it's a cute sentiment. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive to put this up onto my standard A2 size card base. And then we are set. I'm going to add a few gems. I'm going to come in with my dark gray. I believe these are gunmetal, I want to say. Drops, and I'm putting them where the little circles, the berries, are coming off on this, and I'm using different sizes. I'm using my wax pencil to pick these up and place them down onto my card. And then we're going to set a large one right in the center of that rose. And to continue that color to come off, we're going to set just a couple or just a few out onto the outside. Now you could use sequins, you could use, if you have your Nuvo drops or your stickles, these would look absolutely gorgeous as well. So while it's not bright, but we do get the sense of all of the texture that we've created and the dimension that we have. When we look at that die, it looks like it's sinking down onto our card. So I hope I gave you a few tips and tricks today using these products by Paper Rose. As always, the products that I used will be listed down below. Questions, make sure you leave those down below as well. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so that you can get notified when the next video is live. Enjoy the process. Have fun creating your art, but always remember what's most important. Always be creative, guys, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Till then.